phone storage on my phone got full, and I had to clear the data, some data off my phone. And so the whole thing is, why would I do that, right? Number one, well, I get a tax deduction, I get a tax benefit. Call your accountant, call an accountant, and if you can, or I'm not going to say if you can, look for several accountants. Find 3 or 4 or 5 accountants and talk to each accountant, and find an accountant that specializes in your situation. All right, they will have better information than anybody. Like me, I got a specific agricultural accountant. All right, that's what they do. They've done it for 3 generations, and that's what they do. Okay, they do agriculture taxes. And so find an accountant and ask them about your asset. Okay, if I purchase this asset and I have this business and I start myself this LLC, then what kind of tax benefits do I get? All right, my whole farm right now, in terms of my farm, I got my mud on my boots, and they keep sticking to the ground, and I'm kind of losing my balance. Okay, there we go. My farm, okay, God honest truth, when I take a look at it, my farm makes just about $17,000 a month. Okay, when you take a look at me running cattle, I make about $17,000 a month. All right, because here's the thing. Well, granted that but actually, now that I think about it, I haven't had an animal die in a long time, right? I haven't had an animal die in a long time, and if an animal dies, then my profits go down. But I haven't had an animal die in a long time. Okay, I haven't had one animal die in maybe 2 or 3 months. Knock on wood, I don't want to give myself bad juju, but I haven't had an animal die in maybe about 2 or 3 months. I haven't had an animal die in about 2 months. And I don't want to give myself bad juju, but the whole thing about money is borderline negligible to me. Okay, because it doesn't matter. Okay, like me, when I structure my deals, and I go and get, even if I didn't have any money, I could just go and get myself a lease property. I already have a lease property. Like, this is not fake belief. I'm not telling you something that's wrong. I'm not telling you something that's make believe. I have a lease property right now, and I don't pay anything for it. I pay out a percentage of the net profits. I don't care about paying out a percentage of the net profits. I don't care. Why? Because I've already made the money. I don't care. I make plenty of money. I make plenty of money. All right, I have I don't okay, if I make 17, whatever, right? I don't care, whatever. The percentage of the net profits, I don't care about. I've already made the money. All right, I don't pay anything up front. I don't pay anything. I make the money, and then I pay out a percentage of it. So even if I had nothing, I could just go and get myself, I already have this lease property. I can just go and farm the lease property, even if I don't have any land. Right? And let's say that I have a lease property and I don't have any money, and I need to fertilize that lease property, and I say, whatever, I'm going to be as efficient as I can. If I put $500 worth of, if I put $1,000 worth of fertilizer on that lease property, I can grow enough grass on that lease property to run like I have okay, the limiting factor over there is the water. And so I could run 15 animals over there, and I could just whatever, cut the fertilizer. I could only fertilize half the field, and then I'd be good to go, right? $500, and I put 15 cattle on it. When I put the 15 cattle on it, they'll effectively 40 acres of grass will feed the 15 cattle, no problem. They'll get real fat on that grass, and I can just sell the animals, right? I can just go to the bank and take a loan. I'll take a loan and just give me a loan for whatever, 15 grand, 20 grand, and I just take the loan, and then I just go and buy assets with the money. All of the income that I make that year would be tax deductible, because I would be purchasing assets with that leverage. I wouldn't be paying any taxes. Legally would not be paying any taxes. I'm not talking about tax evasion. I'm not talking about doing something illegal. If I take the money and I purchase a tax deductible asset, then that legally reduces my tax burdens, okay? And I don't make the rules. If you don't like the rules, I don't know what to tell you. Die poor with your worthless opinions. Nobody cares. All right, I don't make the rules. All right, and nobody, I don't make the rules. All right, I play the game. All right, it is what it is. If you take your money and you purchase a tax deductible asset, you reduce your tax burdens, and you can do this legally. All right, if you want to figure out exactly how much we're talking about, talk to an accountant about it. Don't take my word for it. All right, but it wouldn't matter even if I had nothing. If I had nothing, how long do you think it would take for me to make $10,000 a month? How long do you think it would take? It probably wouldn't even take me a year and a half. Even if I started from zero, I would just start myself another farm. Very easy, right? I would just start myself another farm. It doesn't matter. Why? Because at the end of the day, I actually know how to farm, and when I farm, I effectively have some of the best results you could ever imagine. Nobody cares about your opinion. I am telling you the truth. Find somebody who does better than me. I'm one dude by myself on a 50-acre field. I have 51 acres total, right? I have, about 50 acres of farmable land. I have one tractor. I don't have any employees. I work by myself. I started this business on my own, and I make about $17,000 a month. Find somebody who's doing better than me. Legitimately go and find that person and show me that person. All right, I haven't seen one person even do 10%. All right, I don't, and at the end of the day, it's whatever. It might sound horrible or whatever, but why would I care? I mean, I will legitimately just be rich by myself if that's what it comes down to. All right. Why would I go off and be poor? Oh my God, there's 50 poor people and they've all got the same opinion. I've talked about this. When you put 50 idiots together, you don't have some Power Ranger Megazord. You just have 50 idiots that you put together. And the big problem with this is when you have 50 idiots put together, they are almost always all failing in the exact same way. And they've latched onto each other because it's like a group hug. They feel better because everybody's failing in the same direction, right? And it turns into like this big group hug. You don't want to be in a group hug situation, all right? You want to be in a situation where you are looking to do better for yourself, right? You want to be better. You want to be doing better for yourself, all right? You want to be in a situation where you are looking to do better for yourself. That's where the unlimited progress happens, all right? I want to do better for myself, right? Oh, well, if I take some, if I learn about assets, if I teach myself about assets and I learn about assets and I start accumulating good assets, oh, well, I've taken a look at this asset and it's a good asset. It's and it produces a 2% dividend. It produces a 1.25% dividend. Theoretically, if I hold on to this asset forever, it's never going to zero. It's very equitable and it produces a positive return. So technically, you cannot lose money on it theoretically if you hold on to it forever. You theoretically cannot, because it produces you a positive return. You theoretically cannot lose money on it. If you buy something like the S&P 500, you theoretically cannot lose money on it. You're buying a small piece of the 500 biggest companies in America. America has the best economy known to mankind, and we're probably going to do even better. All right, America will probably do better. We are on the verge of doing phenomenal things. And when you take a look at it for what it is, and the S&P 500 probably not going to zero, produces a 1.27% dividend. You cannot lose money. Theoretically, you cannot lose money if you hold on to the thing forever. And if you raise your income and take that income and you invest your money. And I'm not saying that I'm a saint, and I'm in, maybe you can just take a look at my situation as an example. I make about $17,000 a month, and what am I going to do with all of the money? I will reinvest it all back into my business. You really want to be in a situation where you are investing a large portion of your money. All right, that's the best thing to do with money. Buy assets with it. Your assets will produce you a return, and then keep doing that, and your income will go up. And realistically, you even want tax, and you get tax benefits from holding equity, and et cetera, et cetera. You don't pay money on the appreciation value, but I'm not being a malicious person. All right, I'm not being a malicious person. I'm not being a horrible person. I am, but you don't want to be in a situation where you are in the group hug. All right, you don't want to be in the group hug. Oh my God, everybody's failing, and everybody's failing in the exact same way. And now that there's 50 of us, we're just gonna feel better about the whole thing, and everyone's just gonna sit here and we're just gonna group hug each other. You don't want to do that. Break away from the group hug and do better for yourself. All right, do better for yourself. Think of a very realistic idea of how to do better for yourself, and then go and do it. And a very realistic way to do this is to accumulate good assets, buy good assets, increase your income. Don't sell your soul to the devil. Don't go on ridiculous journeys, right? I mean, come up with a realistic way to make more money. All right, come up with a realistic way to do it. I don't know, find a job that pays you more money. All right, and then take that money and the difference in your money and invest your money, buy good assets. That's a very realistic plan. That's effectively, what I'm doing, increasing my income and investing the money. That's what I'm doing, right? I'm increasing my income and I am investing the money. That's what I've been doing for a long time. And as of today, when I first started, I even spoke about this. When I first started, my goal was to make $3,000 a month. I said, how good would it be if I could make $3,000 a month? And as of today, I make about $17,000. I've been steadily increasing my income every single, effectively all the time. I've been steadily increasing my income all the time. All right, I started off my business thinking, oh, well, what if I can make $3,000 a month? Would that be fantastic, right? If I could make $3,000 a month, that would be fantastic. That was about 2.5 years ago, and as of today, I make about $17,000 a month, and my income is going up, and I will reinvest all of the money. Effectively, like 98% of it. Maybe I take whatever, $10,000 and go and buy myself something. I will still be reinvesting 95 to 98% of the money. All right, maybe 99% of the money will be reinvested back into my business, and I will even take a loan against my earnings. I will probably end the year investing about 125 to 150% of my income. All right, I probably will. And and it just is what it is. And I'm not saying this because I get a kick out of it. I don't get any sort of enjoyment out of saying this. I'm telling you the truth. I effectively took a dump on the entire U.S. economy. I effectively out-earned everybody by a landslide. Effectively everybody, short of people like Warren Buffett. I outperformed 99.99999% of the entire country by a long shot. It wasn't even close. All right, it wasn't even close. And here's the thing, my income is actually going up. All right, my income is going up, and I have a very realistic idea for how I will do that, right? And and I guess, I don't know, mark my words, or do whatever you want, bet. I don't know what, we'll see what direction I go in the next 3 months. We will see. All right, we will see. I've already told you this is the direction that I'm going, and we will see with it. Mark my words. You can bet on it or whatever, bet on it, and we will see what I do in 3 months. All right, we will see where I get in 3 months. When I first started my business, I legitimately, my plan was to make $3,000 a month, and as of today, I make about $17,000. I've been steadily increasing my income, and I've been reinvesting all of my money back into my business, all of it and then some. All right, and that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.